If this theory is true, then The Boys is about to make its boldest move of the entire final season, because Homelander getting V1 would not just make him stronger, it would completely change the ending of the show. And the craziest part is that it may not happen because Homelander steals it. It may happen because Soldier Boy gives it to him. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, this theory centers around one really important idea. What if Homelander does not fight his way to V1 in the way everyone expects? What if instead, the person who hands it to him is Soldier Boy? And if that happens, then suddenly everything changes. The balance of power changes, the emotional dynamic changes, and the final episodes stop being about whether Homelander becomes unstoppable and start being about how anybody could possibly deal with him after he already has. The reason this theory is so interesting is because it does not just rely on power, it relies on family, or at least the warped, toxic version of family that this show loves to explore. If Soldier Boy is the one giving Homelander V1, then the biggest question is why?
And honestly, I think the answer could come down to two things. The first is respect. For most of the season, Soldier Boy has looked at Homelander with disappointment. He sees weakness in him, neediness, insecurity. He talks to him like a father who cannot believe this is what came after him. But what if there's still one part of Soldier Boy that recognizes Homelander as his son and still feels some twisted responsibility toward him? Not love in a healthy way, definitely not that, but maybe something uglier. Pride mixed with guilt, mixed with regret. The second reason is Clara. If Soldier Boy really believes that someone from his past would have wanted Homelander to have this power, then suddenly this is no longer just a strategic move. It becomes emotional, it becomes personal. And in my opinion, that is what makes the theory dangerous, because emotional decisions in The Boys almost always create disasters. And let's be honest, this family does not exactly solve its trauma in normal ways. Most families go to therapy. These people apparently hand each other immortality serum. Now, if Homelander does get V1, the next major question is what it actually does to him.
Weakens him. Maybe the cruelest ending for Homelander is being forced to live as an ordinary human with no status, no fear, no worship, and no reason for the world to care about him. And I actually think that would be a fantastic ending. But I do not think that is the first effect we would see. Personally, I think if Homelander gets V1, the show will let it work first. I think it would make him stronger. I think it would remove the fear of the virus, and I think it would give him exactly the one thing he has been desperate for all season: freedom from mortality. That matters because mortality was the last thing humbling him. It was the one thing forcing him to think strategically instead of acting purely on ego. Once that fear disappears, then the worst version of Homelander steps forward. Not the insecure version trying to be loved, not the frightened version trying to survive. The God version, the one who believes the world exists beneath him and should kneel accordingly. And if that happens, then episode 7 or the finale become terrifying for one simple reason. Homelander stops pretending. No more careful manipulation, no more half measures, no more acting like he still needs human systems around him. If he truly believes he cannot die, then why would he tolerate presidents, governments, advisors, or even the illusion of democracy at all?
In my opinion, that is what V1 really unlocks. Not just more strength, total psychological permission. That is why this theory is so important. Because Homelander getting V1 does not just raise the stakes physically, it destroys the emotional structure of the final season. Butcher loses his main weapon. Starlight loses whatever hope she had that this ends cleanly. Soldier Boy may realize too late that he did not empower a son, he unleashed a god complex with lasers. Now, let's talk about Soldier Boy for a second, because if he is the one who gives Homelander V1, then his role in the ending becomes much more tragic. Why? Because it means he becomes responsible for the final monster. And I think that would fit this show really well. Soldier Boy has spent so much time mocking Homelander, belittling him, pushing him, and treating him like an embarrassment. So imagine the irony if the one thing that finally makes Homelander truly unstoppable comes from Soldier Boy's own hand.
That would be brutal. It would also set up a really strong reversal later if Soldier Boy then realizes what he has done and has to help stop him.
And that leads to what I think is the most likely long-term outcome. If Homelander gets V4, then the only realistic answer left may be depowering him rather than trying to kill him outright. That is where Soldier Boy becomes important again. Because if anyone has a chance of stripping enhanced V from someone's system, it might be him. The real endgame may not be about killing Homelander at all. It may be about first creating the problem and then trying to undo it before the world burns. In my personal opinion, that would be a much stronger ending than just another big fight where everyone throws punches until someone drops. The Boys works best when power has consequences, and when those consequences are ugly, personal, and ironic. Homelander becoming immortal because of his father, only to lose that power because of the same man, would feel exactly like the kind of cruel symmetry this show loves. Now, there is one more layer to this theory that I think makes it even better. If Soldier Boy gives Homelander V4, not because he trusts him, but because he thinks he finally sees greatness in him, then Homelander may misread the entire moment. He may think this is acceptance, approval, the father finally choosing the son. And if that is how Homelander reads it, then it becomes emotionally catastrophic, because once again, the thing he has wanted most in the world, validation, would be fused to the thing that could destroy everyone else.
That is dark, that is messy, and that is very The Boys. So overall, I think this theory works because it does three things at once. It gives Homelander the power boost the final season needs, it makes Soldier Boy even more central to the endgame, and it turns the final conflict into something more emotionally loaded than just heroes versus villain. It becomes family, ego, legacy, and regret exploding all at once. But anyway, that is my full breakdown on the theory of Homelander getting his hands on V1 and what it could mean for the ending of The Boys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Soldier Boy would really hand Homelander that kind of power? Or is the show setting us up for something